Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made an ass of himself. He's bending over backwards here on Fox News to defend Saudi Arabia. And watch him become the world's biggest cuck to Saudi Arabia.
Talk about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. The president doubled down on his support of the Saudi crown prince, said he's a good ally. You have some senators that are calling for more action. They want condemnation. They want him to be penalized. You're going to be briefing the House today. What do you plan on saying?
So we're going to say to the House what we've said to the American people. President Trump's made very clear. The murder of Jamal Khashoggi was a tragic incident. It was heinous. It's not something that America approves of. We've already held a number of individuals accountable by putting sanctions on them, those that we have evidence were directly involved. We'll continue to develop the facts, but America has an important ally in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They work with us on issues that provide security for America and for Israel. It is an important relationship with the kingdom, and we intend to continue to protect the American people in the way that voters back 2 years ago demanded.
But, Mr. Secretary, they're the ones who are putting it in peril, not us. They're the ones who have evidently pulled this off. And when you have people like Lindsey Graham, hardly an enemy of the White House, and Bob Corker and others said this is a smoking saw, not a smoking gun, and you even have audio tapes. We know the prince knows, right? You looked him in the eye. You know that he knows.
I've spoken to the King Salman. I've spoken to the Crown Prince a number of times since the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. And it is absolutely America's intent to hold everyone accountable who was responsible for this.
So that's yes? When you looked him in the eye and he denied it, did you believe him?
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia decides who's running the country. I think this is what the president said yesterday. We are working closely with the kingdom to make sure that America is protected. That's our interest there.
The CIA says that they're highly confident that the Saudi crown prince did order the murder of Khashoggi.
Yeah, some of the reporting that you've seen on that has been inaccurate.
Is that inaccurate?
Look, we all know that they're still working on this. This is still a developing set of facts with respect to the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. The intelligence community is working diligently on that. The direct evidence, this is what I've said before, the direct evidence isn't yet available. It may show up tomorrow. It may have shown up overnight, and I haven't seen it. But
someone
President
has to pay the price, though. It's so brutal. Apparently, those audio tapes are awful.
The Saudis have already paid the price. There are the folks who actually committed the murder we've held accountable. We will continue to do that. No one underestimates how horrible this murder was. But remember, Iran is running rampant throughout the Middle East. The death of any one individual is awful. The death of hundreds of thousands of people in Europe or the Middle East or the United States matters an awful lot. And President Trump is committed to protecting America.
He literally pulled a, but what about Iran at the end of it? I mean, these guys, man, this is a joke. We're the laughingstock of the world with stuff like this. I mean, what about Iran at the end? This is coming from a guy who is just whipping votes for Saudi Arabia for us to continue aiding them in their genocide of Yemeni babies. And he's like, what about Iran? They're violating human rights. Hey, asshole, you're the guy who wants to continue a genocide. Aiding Saudi Arabia in continuing a genocide. Sit back as they bomb women and children. And by the way, as they're doing this, they stay on the UN Human Rights Council. But what about Iran? Well, I mean, they do stuff. Yeah, really? What are they doing? Maybe not. Arming the Houthis in Yemen, who are actually trying to defend the people that you and Saudi Arabia are genociding? Yeah, what about Iran? What about them? You tell me about it. By the way, Iran is still following the nuclear deal, and they're working with Europe, and the United States has pulled out of it and continues to violate international law. We're trying to collapse the Iranian economy, and we're blocking humanitarian aid from getting into Iran. Human rights is what we care about, yes. As we say shit like that, we're like, okay, against international law, let's continue to block humanitarian aid from getting into Iran. I'm not kidding about that. The top court at the UN said, you can't block humanitarian aid from getting into Iran. How do we react? We said, yes, we can, and now we're pulling out of this court, and screw you, and we're going to keep doing it. We keep violating international law and trying to collapse Iran, and they keep scapegoating Iran when obviously the biggest problem is Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. The fucking MBS kidnapped the head of Lebanon. He literally kidnapped the head of Lebanon, murdering a journalist, doing a genocide in Yemen, and the entire time this guy's running interference for them, which leads to the main point. These are the same guys, Pompeo, same guys who used to say, you know, this President Obama, he's so weak on foreign policy. Weak on foreign policy? You're letting MBS run wild. You're letting Saudi Arabia do whatever they want. What message does that send to the head of Saudi Arabia when you say to him, okay, so you murdered a journalist. What are we going to do about it? Nah, what do you want me to do, huh? What that does is it puts a target on the backs of every journalist who's critically reporting on Saudi Arabia. That's what that does. They don't care about the consequences of their actions. You want to know why? Corruption overrides everything. Donald Trump registered like 8 new businesses or something like that in Saudi Arabia when he was on the campaign trail. Donald Trump got $300,000 worth of business directly from Saudi Arabia at his hotels. He's doing their bidding. Okay, never mind the military-industrial complex connections, over $100 billion weapons deal given to them. We don't care that they're genociding people with it. We don't care at all. The corruption overrides everything. And also, remember, these are the same people who used to scream about, say the name, say it! Islam is the problem! Say it! And now we have the most fundamentalist Muslim country on the planet, Saudi Arabia, and he's running interference for them. But what do you mean? This fundamentalist Muslim is murdering journalists? What about Iran? Cuck. Mike Pompeo has been cucked by Saudi Arabia.